public.
To hear the giant of a man, Comrade Senator Lennox Weston, come to the microphone, man. Here he comes. Comrades, good night, good night. Comrades, tonight we're balling murder. Antigua, we have to ball murder, they must hear us. They destroy the country, they leave you hungry, you can't get no health care. Why the hell you keeping quiet for? Ball murder! They must hear us, they must feel us. I want to tell you tonight, their time is up. Because they have this feeling that it's going to take 2 more years. But the leader, Lester Bird, has sounded the alarm. We have set the time when they must leave, but we need your help. We are going to call a vote of no confidence in the Parliament of Antigua Barbuda, and next time they go to Parliament. For the first time in the Caribbean, they will see a people move and a people demand for the world to hear that this government must leave because every single person balling murder in Antigua Barbuda. They tell you they can't do nothing to help you. They tell you that in this world economic condition they can't help you. Well, this week I can tell you, Jamaica who simply got a new government, they were able to land a company in the IT sector, a company like Bodog, a company like Dixie, and they were hiring 3,500 people one time in one investment. And they're telling you in this country they can't do any better. They're telling you in this country they say they have no work, that it is not their fault, it is the world economic condition. But in Jamaica, with all the crime, with all the violence, they just changed government. There's a lovely lady who is Prime Minister. She can count very well. She doesn't say 0.0000, can't end 0. There's a 0 Prime Minister, the man can't count. We tell you they dance long time. You hear they dance, you see they dance. What the hell are you waiting for? It's time to leave. We don't want to blast the dance in our country. In primary school you learn units. You learn 10. Where past 10 he can't go higher. He can't count no higher than 10. And he ain't Prime Minister. So you realize why we an old engine. He's so kudumuni, you know the difference between old and you. He don't know the difference between old and you. The Chinese say, wait, is he Prime Minister? Prime Minister can't count. We're going to thief from the Prime Minister. We got thief from that Prime Minister. They say he's the first and the thief from a man. The thief over $30 million US. And the man the thief from saying, thank you, well done, we're so happy, you're helping us. A.L.P, the Prime Minister, and we can't tolerate that. This country has young people. They've gone to peer secondary, outside secondary, state college, university. Every single person in this country, well trained, well qualified. What the hell we're doing the dance as our Prime Minister? And so time up. We say that we have spoken enough. You have seen the corruption. You have felt the hardships. You can't pay utility bills. Did you hear the leader of A.P tell you that 40% of Antiguans have either no water, light or telephone they can't pay? Antigua dark, we can't even pay the current. Why? Because this fully Prime Minister who can't count, get old engine, overcharge, overprice, and he said thank you very much. And he cursing us to ask for money back. He must be a Kunamuno. He must be a Kunamuno. We don't want a Kunamuno Prime Minister. I want to tell you something else. If you think things are bad now, if you think things are bad now, if you don't move, it won't be light we will be without. We will soon have to eat grass. Do you know they call in the A.P workers just this week? And they tell them, look, you would have heard Weston on the radio, in a line we're losing $4 million every month. They're all injured and broke down already from China. They're drinking more fuel than ever. Look, if you live in Parliament, hired sea, big truck of fuel going up. Engines are not working well. compression down, this down, they're bringing some new parts. Only 4 engines can work at one time. They buy 30 megawatts, they can only get 15. So you're paying twice what you get. It must cost you more. And so even with the highest utility bills in the country, even with almost half the people can't pay for current in their house, they're now still losing money at APUA. They're losing $4 million every month because they buy old building and they're fixing old building you can't unfix. They buy old plant, they're paying for new plant, and the old plant can't produce. Then they charge you. And they're now planning to send home 300 workers in a short while. You try to imagine. Things already hard. Things already brown. People already bawling murder. And they're now planning to send home 300 more workers from APUA. And you think they're finished? They're not finished. They have now turned their sights, as I told you, on ABI Bank. Remember they borrowed over $300 million from ABI Bank. And when ABI went bankrupt and couldn't lend them more, they said we're going to take away a bank for $1. But the problem is, you have 118 workers working at ABI. These are workers who have worked all their lives. They're accustomed to work. We have one lady from Parham for the time she leaves school. 25 years ago, she stepped into the bank and she's working there for the time she bought. And let me tell you, within the next couple of weeks, they will sell that bank for $1 to E-Cab. And they'll send home and pay off 118 bank workers who will have no money, who will have no jobs. Can you remember when Stanford closed? What happened to our young professionals and our workers? How many people lost their homes? How many husband and wife break up at the ends can't meet? How many children had to leave university and school? You remember how many people had a mental breakdown? How many people have to run? Well, you add ABI to this and you will see what happened. But it's not only ABI. They intend to call the loan for Jolly Beach. And so they're going to close Jolly Beach too. And Jolly Beach has 400 more workers. So you add up and you tell me, even if it's nice and dainty, if you can't laugh about murder and plenty murder in Antigua Barbuda. This is a murder country and you must let the world hear Antigua's balling broad blue murder against its government. They're murderers and they're murdering us and we won't keep quiet. We won't keep quiet. But I have worse news for you. I have more when you... Yes, the truckers who work for solid waste. They carry rubbish. They pick up all rubbish in all the villages. They go and try to collect the change. They tell them go treasury. They say treasury, but treasury done bankrupt. They say well we must have go treasury. Bankrupt plus bankrupt, you 2 bankrupt. And guns plus guns, you 2 guns. And you have to the square guns and they come kunumunu guns. Mashing up the place. They're destroying the place and they're telling you you can't do nothing about it. Joanne says you can't do anything about it. She's celebrating and laughing after us. Daniel buys 2 vehicles. He says he's bored. 2 vehicles. Each one costs 400,000. He said, Daniel, I have already 10 vehicles. Why buy 2 more? He said, I love the leather. I love the smell of the leather. It smells very nice. So why you can't buy bread? Why you can't pay your bills? They're spending $500,000 to smell leather. They're spending $500,000 to smell leather. So the truckers now can't get paid, and very shortly you will see them stop picking up rubbish. You will see them stop picking up rubbish. And let me tell you, every single government corporation is bankrupt. You'd have heard of IMF. IMF is the country, is a bank which lends money to a country when they're bankrupt. When nobody else will lend you money, IMF come in like rescue the perishing and try and help you. IMF came to Antigua and they promised and agreed to lend them about $117 million. Every quarter they'll get a little piece. After 2 quarters, the bank of the last resort, the bank which the governments in Africa the most corrupt government in Asia. After 2 quarters, the man wipe his brow, he wipe his belly, he wipe his chest, and he say Antigua government 2 teeth, they pack up and they gone. The only country in the world that IMF has pulled the plug and refused to deal with because corruption is so open, so blatant, and the ministers are so not serious. They say they cannot waste any time, and they want the people of this country to rise up, and run them out of town. And so hear this, it is now our turn, and this is a game plan. This is a game plan, because in our history, every time Antigua has been challenged, the people of Antigua, we have always stood up to the challenge and overcome it. Let me remind you of our history, a very simple part, not going to go too far back. You remember Antigua was a dry country, and we didn't have water. And then what? We moved from a small pond to pot works, and we solved it first. And when it became dry, and pot works dry up, we became one of the first countries in the world to introduce desalination. When I said it was too expensive and to this, VC Bird said, my country will never beg water again. And so he introduced a brand new technology called desalination. We have now moved to reverse osmosis. When we had agriculture, and agriculture couldn't provide enough work, we moved to tourism. Then we moved to the offshore sector. We moved to before the offshore sector, we built factory shells, and we built out there. We have always in this government called Labour, every time there's a challenge, we didn't blame world condition, we didn't blame America, we didn't blame bad luck, we didn't blame opposition, we found solutions, and we provided 28 years of continuous growth and employment. You could work 2 jobs if you have to hustle a little bit. You could be a farmer and sell a produce and be a taxi man. You could be a mason and a farmer and still a taxi man. And we saw everybody. Look at the buildings, look at the homes, look at the houses. That is the Antigua we know. When we elect government to solve problems, not to find excuses. And so we are saying, when we call the vote of no confidence, they're boasting. They say they have 10, 9 plus Barbuda. But remember about the 7 loaves and bread? How we multiply? Let me tell you, they never count the power of the people. We are asking the people of Antigua and Barbuda, when Lester Bird, the leader of the Labour Party, tables that vote of no confidence, we want all the workers, we want all the unemployed, we want all the truckers, we want the professionals, we want the students, circling the parliament, and we balling murder from day until night. We are going to let them hear the voice of the people of Antigua telling them enough is too much, they must leave, and 10 or 7, we don't give a hoot what they're talking about. The people would have voted, and it is their time. The people, therefore, we say, you have it in your hands. You must listen for that date, because you know, they would like to call Parliament only once every 3 months. But whether they wait a month or 2 months, when they call that date and we table that resolution, you will have to come out. And it is your numbers, it is your bawling, it is your reaction which will force Baldwin Spencer to leave government. I want to end on talking about something which all of us must be concerned about. Because you will know, this government took up the most taxes in the history of Antigua Barbuda. For 2 years, out of the 8, they spent over $1 billion. You have heard they refused to bring the audit statement. You have heard that none of the statutory bodies have brought any financial audit statements. They want to hide how they have stolen your money from you. But I want to tell you, there is nothing more precious than life. All we know is life. And the area they're chimping on most heavily is the area of healthcare and Mount St. John. The Labour Party has always made sure that through our taxes and through our medical benefits money, that we can guarantee you free tertiary care at Halberton and Mount St. John. The Labour Party, in addition, provided over $5 million to make sure if you're sick and you can't be treated in Antigua, you can be treated overseas. They have wiped out everything. And you now have small children with deadly diseases going to Mount St. John and they're telling them find 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 before you can touch them. I am saying to the people of Antigua and Barbuda, the time for roll mouth talking, the time for kentness, the time for cuteness, far gone. In the old days when your mommy died and you got funeral and burial ground, if you don't root up, we say I love your mommy. Well, if you love your life, and you love your country, and you love your children, and you want better for Antigua Barbuda, anytime you go to Mount St. John, and they don't treat you, they say ball murder, and plenty murder, let the whole world hear ball in. And so we're saying to the people of Antigua Barbuda, we're saying to the people of All Saints and St. Luke's, you have the recipe in your hands. We're going to send the time for the vote of no confidence. You will join us, you must join us with your trucks, with your bodies, with your voices. And we are going to call this the murder revolution. The only government will run from office by simply calling murder. Good night, God bless.